21 lesson for the 21st century. Chapter 17. Post-truth. Post-truth. Some fake news lasts forever. We are repeatedly told these days that we are living in a new and frightening era of post-truth, and the lies and fictions are all around us. Examples are not hard to come by. For example, in late February 2014, Russian special unit bearing the army insignia invaded Ukraine and occupied key installations in the Crimea. The Russian government and President Putin in person repeatedly denied that they were Russian troops, describing them instead as spontaneously self-defense groups. They may have acquired Russian-looking equipment from local shops. As they voiced this rather preposterous claim, Putin and his aides knew perfectly that they were lying. Russian nationalists can excuse this lie by arguing that it served a higher truth. Russia was engaged in just a war, and if it's okay to kill for a just cause, surely it's also okay to lie. The higher cause that allegedly justified the invasion of Ukraine was the preservation of the sacred Russian nation. According to Russian national myths, Russia is a sacred entity that has endured for 1,000 years despite repeated attempts by vicious enemy to invade and dismember it. Following the Mongol, the Pole, the Swede, Napoleon's Grand Army, and Hitler's Wehrmacht in the 1990s, it was NATO, the United States, and the EU that attempt to destroy Russia by detaching part of its body and forming them into fake countries, such as Ukraine. For many Russian nationalists, the idea that Ukraine is a separate nation from Russia constitutes a far bigger lie than anything uttered by President Putin during his holy mission to reintegrate the Russian nation. Ukraine citizens, outside observers, and professional historians may well be outraged by this explanation and regard it as a kind of atom bomb lie in the Russian arsenal of deception. To claim that Ukraine does not exist as a nation and as an independent country disregards a long list of historical facts. For example, that during the 1,000 years of supposed Russian unite, Kiev and Moscow were part of the same country for about 300 years. It also violates numerous international laws and treaties that Russia has accepted and guarantee the sovereignty and border of independent Ukraine. Most important, it ignored what millions of Ukrainians think about themselves. Don't they have a say about who they are? Ukraine nationalists would certainly agree with Russian nationalists that there are some fake countries around, but Ukraine isn't one of them. Rather, these fake countries are the Luhansk People's Republic and the Donetsk People's Republic, which Russia has set up to mask its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. Whichever side you support, it seems that you are indeed living in a terrifying era of post-truth, when not just a particular military incident, but entire histories and nation might be faked. But if this is the era of post-truth, when exactly was the Halcyon age of truth? In the 1980s, the 1950s, the 1930s, and what triggered our transition to the post-truth era. The internet, social media, the rise of Putin and Trump. A cursory look at history revealed that propaganda and disinformation are nothing new, and even the habit of denying either nation and creating fake country has a long prodigy. In 1931, the Japanese army staged mock attacked itself to justify its invasion of China, and then create a fake country of Manchukuo of legitimize its conquerors. China itself has long denied that Tibet ever existed as an independent country. British settlement in Australia was justified by a legal doctrine of terra nullius, nobody land, in Latin, which effectively erased 50,000 years of aboriginal history. In the early 20th century, a favorite Zionist slogan spoke of the return of people without land Jews to a land without people Palestine. The existence of the local Arab population was conveniently ignored. In 1969, Israel Prime Minister Golda Meir famously said that there is no Palestinian people and never was. Such views are still very common in Israel even today, despite decades of armed conflict against something that doesn't exist. For example, in February 2016, Knesset member Anna Beko gave a speech to her fellow parliamentarians in which she doubted the reality of the Palestinian people. Her proof? The letter P does not even exist in Arabic. So how can there be a Palestinian people? In Arabic, F stands for what? In what language is profound P? And the Arabic name for Palestine is Palestine.